This is take 2 because I had my aux cord in and I panicked that the audio wasn't going to be that the audio wasn't going to be on there, because in the past when I've had my aux cord in and I started recording, you couldn't hear me. But for some reason that's changed, so I started over for nothing, but that's okay. So it's been a hot minute since I've posted a video, and I've made several, I just haven't posted them. Either they wouldn't load, or I decided that I didn't like what I said. I keep going off on these rants and tangents and saying the same things I've said in other videos, and so I felt that that wasn't necessary to post again and express my opinions on something that I have already expressed my opinion on multiple times. I want to say hello and welcome to the new subscribers. I appreciate you greatly, and I hope that you stay. I do hope at some point to start posting more regularly and start going in the direction that I had originally hoped to go. I, in the past, have put on private several videos that I went back and listened to and realized that I just really sound like I'm complaining constantly, and I sound whiny, and my voice is naturally a little bit whiny, but talking about being tired and how many hours I work and blah 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 blah, and that wasn't my intention. So I put a lot of videos on private and tried to keep the ones that really had some substance in them, and so I haven't been posting as much, A, because of that. I like to wait till I for sure have something to say, and B, I was having storage issues, so I wasn't able to upload anything. So hopefully those things have both been resolved, so I hope that I can start putting out more content that actually has some substance to it. I've been thinking about substance a lot, and things in general a lot. And one of my main focuses for my channel has, I think, always underlyingly been to try to talk through, talk about anxiety and depression. I've dealt with it for many years at multiple levels, and when I first went on YouTube years ago, I think I started recording videos like 3 years ago. I don't know that I was finding what I needed, and that's not to say that I'm providing what I would have needed, but I just wanted to be another voice, because I know, especially with depression, I could probably listen to 15 different people talk about it, and it's almost never enough. So I decided to put my voice into it too, and just give people as many things to listen to help them with depression as possible. Maybe one thing in one video will change everything for somebody, and if I can be that conduit, then I have succeeded. And I've said that before, and I'll probably say it again. But yeah, so I'm very blessed that my depression and anxiety has lessened greatly over the years. I don't know if that's, some of it's situational, and some of it may be just because I'm aging. I don't know. But my depression, at one point I said my depression was gone, but I don't think it is. I think that I have, and may always have, some underlying low-level depression, but it's not prevalent. It doesn't affect my day-to-day ability to function, I don't think. Maybe I should analyze that a little better, but I don't think it does. And my anxiety used to be pretty, so originally my depression was prevalent, and I hadn't really experienced anxiety. Then when I was pregnant with my son, I started experiencing anxiety. Then for a while, the depression went away or lessened to the point where I didn't notice it, and my anxiety was bad a lot. And now it seems to have leveled itself out. So my anxiety is, again, I always have a certain low level of anxiety going on. I think I'm just a naturally anxious person. So I think, again, that will always be kind of a part of me. But it has stopped affecting my day-to-day activities in the way that it once did. And I haven't had a full-on anxiety attack in quite a while. A couple of years now, I think. Knock on wood. I don't have any wood to knock on, but they were never anything that was triggered. Yes, some things did trigger it, and I'll talk about that in a second, but there was many times where when I would have a full-on anxiety attack with my heart racing and I couldn't breathe and my head felt all buzzy and all of that, my hands would get clammy. There was never a specific trigger. Like, I could be sitting watching my favorite TV show and crocheting, and all of a sudden I would be, boom, in an anxiety attack. And it never made sense because I wasn't doing or hearing or seeing anything that should have triggered it. Which, I don't know, does that speak to it being a condition that is not just mental? There's actual physical, chemical things going on in the body, because that's the only thing that makes sense there. And then, yes, other times it was triggered, and I've talked about this before as well, but my intake of input triggered it quite frequently, and I didn't realize it. I'm sure it was a YouTube video that kind of made me think of the idea, and then when I saw the results, I knew that it was definitely the case. But the input I was bringing in was so chaotic and so fast-paced and so overwhelming, and none of it was really of substance information. So, watching TV, sitting in front of the TV every day, having the TV on all the time, listening to the radio in the car, that was just what we, at that point in my life, that was just what you did. TV was always on, radio was always on, and all the social media, and all the pages on social media, and tons of people on social media. So it was always this constant flux of input, auditorial, visual, and not necessarily physical, but auditorially and visually for sure. And somewhere along the line, somebody on YouTube said that they had cut those things out for different reasons. But I realized that some of my overwhelm was coming from definitely social media. And I think I started by reducing my time on social media. I deleted a bunch of people. I deleted a bunch of pages, and reduced my amount of time spent on those apps. I look at them for a few minutes, but if I'm not seeing anything that is, interesting or learning something or whatever, facts-based, if it's just nonsense, I tend not to dive into it deeper, I guess you could say. And that helped a lot. I realized really quickly that reduction of input, and especially with the people, other people's emotions. Like, I remember one time opening my Facebook, and like 3 or 4 different people talked about having not slept well that night, and I hadn't slept well that night either. And then I got 2 posts of some people that were really angry about something, and then the next post was somebody that was super happy about something. And now I've got 3 different sets of emotions coming in that I'm taking on for multiple reasons. But if you're not the kind of person that takes that kind of stuff on, then I guess it's not going to affect you as much. But I have a lot of factors being female and being an empath and being a Gemini and a mother. I was taking all of that in. So within a couple of minutes, I realized that I'm tired because I didn't sleep very well. And now I'm feeling so-and-so's anger and the other person's anger, and my heart goes out to them because I understand why they're angry. And now, this good thing happened to this person and I'm happy for them. And now I'm all over the place. And I can't even center back to how I actually feel. And so that was causing a lot of problems. So reducing the number of people and unfollowing. I didn't unfriend everybody. I unfollowed everybody, including my own daughter for a while. Just because, the younger, her age group puts out a lot of information and it was just too much at the time. So I unfollowed all but like 2 or 3 people at that point and didn't go on Instagram at all. I think I deleted Instagram for a while. I still struggle with Instagram for other reasons that I may or may not go into in this video. And I started not being as involved in Snapchat, and I stopped listening to the radio in the car, and for several months, I think, I didn't have any sound or noise going on at all in the car. It was just quiet, just me and driving. And eventually I started listening to YouTube videos of various topics. I can do podcasts or, any kind of audiobook or learning or somebody speaking. I just can't do radio specifically. The pace is too fast. It's like watching commercials where the screen is changing every 20 seconds and the lights are flashing, and it's too much. And then I haven't watched TV. I mean, I watched TV a handful of times in the last 4 or 5 years, to be honest. And I will watch movies from time to time on TV, but to actually just watch, like ABC or NBC or whatever, like nighttime TV or daytime TV, I don't do it. And I think that those things alone have made a huge difference. I try to pay attention carefully to my sleep. I've gotten better about like, hey, you've had a couple of nights that were rough. You need to make sure that you go to bed on time as many nights as possible, and then, tonight, tomorrow, whatever. So kind of being hyper aware of that and trying to drink more water, and all of those things have helped. Eating healthier, cutting out some of the worst things for me, like the Mountain Dew. I used to have Mountain Dew on me and be drinking it 24/7. I've pretty much replaced that with coffee, but I think as much coffee as I drink, I think I still drink less coffee than Mountain Dew, and I also prior was drinking coffee and Mountain Dew all day. So it was like a rotating alternate thing. And now it's just coffee. So all these little things, really listening to a lot of audiobooks off and on about new concepts and new ways of thinking and learning something. Just recently, I have listened to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, The Conspiracy of the Rich. That was a really good book. That was super interesting. I learned a lot out of that book. I wasn't sure what it was going to be when I first started it, but I actually enjoyed that more than Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and the Power of Thinking Big, I think was the name of it. And now I'm listening to Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I have the paperback version of that I've been meaning to read for a long time, and I just came across it recently, kind of put it to the top of the pile, but then I came across the audiobook, so that's I have an hour drive to and from work, so an hour a day, 2 hours a day, I can listen to an audiobook, and that is pretty awesome, that I can be learning all these things from these books that I honestly don't have time to read. I would love to be able to read 2 hours a day. That would be awesome, but I don't. So being able to listen to them is fantastic. And I think that those audiobooks have been available for free due to COVID, which is, one small blessing from COVID. Because I don't remember these books being, The Power of Thinking Big, I think, was free, but the 4-Hour Workweek and the Robert Kiyosaki books, I don't remember being able to find for free prior to COVID, unless I just hadn't looked in a while. But I've learned a lot from those books. I enjoy them, and they remind me how to keep my thinking on track and keep on top of my thinking and my well-being, mentally and physically. And the only downfall of that is I'm a note taker. I like to take notes. I don't know what the actual purpose is, because they're not notes that I go back over. I don't have a notebook of notes from books I've read. But something about the physical action of writing down notes to things is something that my brain seems to really need and crave, I guess. So the main downfall of doing the audiobooks when I'm driving is every book so far, there's been areas where I wanted to make notes, especially when they list things out like point number 1, point number 2, and I would love to write those things down, but I'm not able to do that while I'm driving. So that's the main downfall. And then, kind of like not having 2 hours a night to read, I don't have the time to go back through the audiobooks when I'm not on driving and make notes. So that's like the one downfall. But I know that information does do some good, and it changes things in my mind regardless of whether I take notes or not. So some knowledge is better than no knowledge, even if only some of it sticks. So that's really helped me. I just lost my train of thought. I would recommend, by the way, all of those books to everybody. The second half of the 4-Hour Workweek was a little disappointing to me. If I had the paper book in hand, I'm sure that I would have utilized it better, because he pretty much lists off 500 websites. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but he lists off like www./.http, like a bunch of them. And so I felt like a lot of the second half was like a little bit of verbiage, and then 15 websites, and then a little bit of verbiage, and then 15 websites, which is great. It's a great resource. He gives some amazing resources. But trying to listen to that on an audiobook was a little frustrating. So that would be my one thing that I would be like, by the way, just in case, so you know. So overall, things have been buzzing quite fast. I can't believe that we're like over the halfway point of August already. I just am flabbergasted that we're heading into September again already. I'm trying not to think about it because it's kind of depressing and sad. I'm not ready for winter again. This summer has been beautiful and magnificent, and I've enjoyed it quite thoroughly. I got a lot of sun. I even got a tan, which, by the way, vitamin D, important for depression. I did live on the west coast of Washington State for like 3 years, and I had to get out of there because the overcast amount of days, and mainly the overcast days on top of the rainy days. I wasn't in Seattle. I was down south, down closer to Oregon. But it was just, I was constantly felt doom and gloom, and just, I need the sunshine. So being in Minnesota isn't necessarily like the sunniest state, but I feel like we get more sunny days than I did living in that part of Washington. And the amount of green, I need green and I need sunshine. So I feel like there's a decent amount here. Maybe not as much as I actually need. And maybe someday I will move somewhere where there's less winter and more sunshine. I don't know yet. I'm happy here so far. The state has been really good to me. I have a good job. I've moved up in my job, actually much to my own surprise. And I feel like I'm starting to come into my own talents that I didn't really realize I had maybe. And I'm somewhere where my voice carries some weight, I guess. It doesn't, but it does. In the grand scheme of the business, like, my voice doesn't mean diddly squat, but in smaller circles, things I have to say are taken seriously and valid, and I get validation from my teammates, and that feels pretty good. So being in that position, I think, also has helped not only with my anxiety, but with keeping my depression at bay. Even though there's many days that it runs through my head that I'm failing and I'm not doing enough and I'm not being thorough enough and yada, yada, yada. I'm not keeping up and I work more hours than I should, and what am I actually getting done? And I should be doing more, and I need to get this done faster, and I still deal with all of that, but I just remind myself constantly that baby steps, you can only do so much so fast. If you want it done right, you need to take the time to make sure it's done right, because if you rush, you're not going to be happy with the results, and then that's going to cause way more stress than taking the time to do it right the first time. So, I've been reminding myself of that a lot. I need to drink the coffee. I've been talking for a minute now. Man, I love coffee. I don't know if I mentioned that in any of my other videos, but I love coffee. I really, it just makes my soul happy. It really does. Okay. So, speaking on the work subject, maybe you need to look at your work situation. What does it look like? Could it be better? Is there anything you could do to make it better? Can you step yourself up and get yourself in a position to help make it better? I think that was part of the reason I did move up, was because I was so engaged and so interested in making it better that even though my words bounced off the walls the first year and a half, eventually, it happened. So are there things you can do at your current job that would make it better, that you could better yourself, that you could be more helpful to make it better? For example, there's been these, my main projects the last couple months have been writing work instructions for some of our mainline jobs, our panels, and I had asked about it when I was just a regular employee, just wiring the panels, and I was kind of and I waited and I asked again, and I said, okay, well, I'm gonna make some and then I'll turn it over to you guys and you guys can do what you want with it, but at least you have something to go off of. I thought maybe if I can just get them a base of information to start with, instead of expecting somebody who has a list a mile long of things that need to get done, if I can give them a base to work off of, then maybe it'll get done, because it'll be that much easier for them to get it done. And even that was kind of like, and I thought, okay. So I waited a little bit longer, and finally I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to start putting the information together and do what I said I was going to do. Hand it over, and if they do something with it, they do. If they don't, they don't. And however it worked out, by the time I was able to even get started on that, I was already in the position I'm in now. But I was actually given the approval to do the work instructions for that whole line's products, which makes me feel pretty good. And the first draft that I sent into the engineering, one of the engineering head honchos, he actually complimented, saying I was doing a really good job, and the financial officer is impressed, and my boss is impressed, and it's, those things have made me feel solid, and not so airy-fairy, wavery, unstable. So look at your job. I've worked some really, really crappy jobs, and I pay attention to some of the really crappy jobs that are out there. I sorted garbage for 2 years for $8.15 an hour. And don't get me wrong, I did it on purpose, because I was already wiring panels prior to that, but I chose to go to that sort of job. Part of it was necessity, but part of it was because I needed to not think. It was around right after my mom passed away, and I just was not in a frame of mind or a state of mind to be able to do my best. And I'm not going to wire an electrical panel if I know I'm not at my best, because I'm not going to blow somebody up. And I didn't have it in me to be at my best self. So I took a job where I didn't have to think. And I met some super, super wonderful people that, just thinking about my time there makes me laugh. We made a lot of really good memories for me and, for others that were there at the time. And I wouldn't trade those 2 years for anything. I just went through and burned those pay stubs the other day, and to see that I was making $154 a week, wow. I think my highest paycheck was a little over $300, and that was because I had worked a lot of overtime. There are people out there doing that still. $8 a little over $8 an hour to sort garbage, and it's dirty, and it's stinky, and it's gross, and it's dangerous. We had to watch for needles and broken glass, and sometimes you would reach for something and you'd stick your hand in a bag of dog shit that had broken open. It's not a pleasant job, and there are a lot of people out there that go to work and do that work every day because they can't get a better job. They aren't able to, they don't have any options because of where they live, or they don't have any options because they don't have a car, or whatever the case is. They don't believe in themselves to do anything other. They don't have any skills, whatever the case is. And I think I was able to enjoy those 2 years because I knew I had other skills that I could fall back on, and I was there by choice. I had my aesthetics license. I could have gone and worked in a salon doing aesthetics. I knew how to assemble and wire control panels. What are you doing, car? Okay. I could have gone back to that, but I was choosing not to. So that makes a difference. And I think overall, once I've built that skill set of assembling and wiring control panels, and knowing that there are many companies that do that, I knew that I had a skill set that I could take anywhere. And that removed my fear of losing a job. I don't need any particular employer because I can go somewhere else. I can take my skills and my knowledge and I can go somewhere else. If I lose my job, I lose my job. It's their loss, not mine. Because with my now level of experience and knowledge, I could go just about anywhere. And if worst comes to worst, I could always go back and re-get my aesthetics license. I could write. There's so many things that I could do if I needed to, that the fear of getting fired from a job has completely dissipated. And that makes a big difference. So all of those things, all of these things that I'm talking about, they all play into each other. It's like a giant puzzle with all the puzzle pieces. So, look at your job. Is there something you could be doing different? Is it time to grab a little faith in yourself and go for something bigger or better? Or jump into something where you can learn a skill set that you can take anywhere. I was an essential employee during the shutdown because it just so happens that where I work, we do medical systems that hospitals needed for COVID. So, I think the shutdown has taught a lot of people that weren't essential that maybe it's time for a career change. And I expect as things keep opening up to get a huge influx of people because I think this was an experience that a lot of people went, oh my gosh. A lot of waitresses, a lot of cooks, a lot of whatever that were shut down for how long. Maybe reevaluating their options because should we have a shutdown again, they can't afford it. Nobody can afford it. So look at your job, look at your sleep, look at your input auditorily and visually, look at your diet, look at your what's that word? Hello, where'd it go? Habits. Are there habits that you can slightly tweak or alter? I can wholeheartedly say that it is absolutely extremely difficult to change habits and break habits. But I've learned over the years, if I can just tweak it, sometimes that makes it 10 times easier to just break it. People, if you come up behind a car at a stoplight and there's a railroad track, please don't stop where your butt is hanging on the railroad track, because if you're stuck and a train's coming, you're screwed. Sorry, this car just pulled up like right over the railroad track and I don't understand. Yeah. I know there was more to that I was going to talk about, but I'm almost to work. So I'm going to leave it at that and hope that some of those points were helpful to somebody and got you thinking about how you can tweak little things to make big differences later. Really, it does. It starts with those baby steps. It starts with those little tiny tweaks. And I'm talking like waking up 5 minutes earlier than you normally do. Tiny tweaks. All right, y'all. Have a good day. Everybody take care of each other. Be kind. You don't know what other people are going through. And don't forget that you don't... Oh, I just said that. You don't know what other people are going through. Yeah. Take a deep breath.